Alright, so I did a video on Wonder Woman, the Wonder Woman mythos. And in the comment section below, DeAndre Sistrunk, I believe I'm pronouncing your word correct, shout out to you. He actually had a really nice observation. He said that, Zack Snyder's attention to detail is really remarkable. He says, remember when Wonder Woman was leaving on Turkish Airlines? If you do realize, Themyscira is part of Turkey. So it's really interesting that Wonder Woman goes to Turkish Airlines to get to the United States, to even leave the United States. And I thought that DeAndre Sistrunk, he really gave some good details there. I never thought about that, and that's a nice way of tying it in. So shout out to DeAndre Sistrunk for that. You asked me to shout out to you in my next video, so I have done that. Now I want to really talk about Wonder Woman as ambassador of the United Nations, and that seems to be a big scene. And the Inquisitor covered it as well, where it says Wonder Woman named it UN ambassador, but protesters don't like scantily clad character. And there is a campaign that was against Wonder Woman becoming an honorary United Nations ambassador for the empowerment of women and girls, by the way. But thousands of protesters signed a petition, and the petition basically said the character's current iteration is that of a large-breasted white woman of impossible proportions, scantily clad in a shimmery, thigh-bearing bodysuit with the American flag motif and high heel and knee-high boots, the epitome of a pin-up girl. So this is what their issue was with Wonder Woman. The United Nations Wonder Woman ceremony was attended by Gal Gadot, who plays the superhero in next year's movie by the same name, and Linda Carter, who played the role in 1975. She told CBS News that the superhero was created to fight for equality. The she has become we. It is this community of us. It is this strength that lives within us that we can do anything. The UN made the Wonder Woman announcement as part of its Sustainable Development Goal number 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls worldwide. The resolution calls on world governments to increase educational opportunities for girls, reduce child marriage and maternal deaths, and guarantee legal protection for women in developing countries. With the slogan, "Think of all the wonders we can do," the UN campaign was designed to promote female empowerment and capitalize on success the feminist movement has already achieved. Like I told you guys before, Wonder Woman is actually an example, or she's an icon of feminism. And strangely, the feminists actually rejected Wonder Woman, which is kind of funny. It's like they think they have outgrown her, because Wonder Woman, they think, is scantily clad and she has big boobs and blah 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 blah. She's like this Barbie doll or something. But really and truly, Wonder Woman, for these people who don't understand, she's actually a fighter. She's a warrior. And if you look at Gal Gadot's rendition of Wonder Woman, she's literally a warrior fighting for the values of love, appreciation, destroying oppression, bringing about equality. So it's really sad to see that these feminists do not understand Wonder Woman, do not understand her origins, the mythos from which she comes, etc. Not everyone agreed with holding up the fictional character as an example for all women and girls. However, UN staff members joined women's groups this weekend in circulating an online petition calling for a human ambassador instead of a fictional superhero, according to Care2 petitions. It's alarming that the United Nations would consider using a character with an overtly sexualized image at a time when the headline news in the United States and the world is the objectification of women and girls. A crowd of 100 UN staff members protested at the headquarters of the world body, holding signs that read, "I am not a mascot," and "Let's get real," reports CBS News. Sometimes people get so educated that they don't realize they're doing something that's counterproductive towards their own movement. Yes, Wonder Woman began, her origins, as you can see right here, her origins began as a feminist, and then later on she became more of a sex symbol and more of a Barbie doll than she was the warrior and the fighter with real issues to bring about equality. However, it must be noted that I believe Gal Gadot's version of Wonder Woman is more back to the original roots of Wonder Woman and the statements of feminism and the fact that women have the potential to do just as anything that men can do. And not only that, but also to encapsulate the dealing and empowerment of oppressed peoples. So I'm somewhat stunned that these feminists and people who have feminist backgrounds would consider this a setback. I'm kind of shocked, to be honest with you, because I do agree that they should have a woman ambassador, but having Wonder Woman as an honorary ambassador for women's rights and for feminism and for children's rights and for oppression of peoples being liberated, I mean, is awesome. I have to say that. And not only that, but the fact that Wonder Woman comes out next year and will epitomize that, and she's not going to be over-sexualized at all, is even better yet, in my opinion. But to each his own. CNN also had it, where it's talking about Wonder Woman named UN ambassador in a controversial move, and you can watch the video there. And they talk about how this year marks DC Comics superheroes' 75th anniversary. That's Wonder Woman. UN staff members petitioned against action. So the staff members, as we already know, petitioned against Wonder Woman being present. Now here, this was the spokeswoman for Wonder Woman speaking here in this video, and this is a CNN video, by the way. And they're introducing the different people. They would introduce Gal Gadot, as well as they introduced also Linda Carter. Okay, Linda Carter's Wonder Woman is less of an icon, in my opinion, for women's rights and equality, as I believe Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman will be. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman will be much more socially conscious, and I believe the setting and the time also will make it something worth the while looking at. Also, Linda Carter is also the President of the United States, which kind of precedes Hillary Clinton's rise to the throne. A woman really coming full circle to become President of the United States. But it's just, to me, very important, and it's very, it's very critical that this statement be made. So I'm not really worried about it, because I believe Wonder Woman did influence the feminist movement to move forward by leaps and bounds, and the fact that these women even have a say in wanting a woman ambassador, it all came about because of some of the groundwork that Wonder Woman actually set into motion in people's minds in the early 40s and 50s. So I'm kind of amazed that they don't understand the history of Wonder Woman in that respect, and the fact that the United States of America will have for the first time a female president, not just a female but a woman president, a lady president. The First Lady will be the First Lady of the United States of America. She'll be known as the President. I think is a huge step forward. Of course, cannot count Donald Trump out of this race, and he's talking about people who are not being seen in the polls, so that he thinks he has gathered sufficient people who have never really been part of the electoral process to be able to win. I still have very great dubious notions that he is a chance in this election because of just the rhetoric and the policies that he's pushing. Policies of division, I don't think, are policies which would really help. We've seen what happened in England when Brexit was utilized. Policy of division to cut yourself from the European community is a rather counterproductive thing. And then if the Americans are really paying attention to that, they should understand that you don't want to have a divisive nature, and Hillary Clinton embodies everything that is necessary to move America forward, necessary to continue the pathway for America to become a great entity. And those people who think that Donald Trump has some kind of grounds, or even his arguments, his supposedly substantive arguments, being based on his policies are to me, not something I can take seriously. None of his policies, one of his policies is cutting taxes. And he talks about gaining the revenues from overseas, pulling in debts from overseas, which these places have not taken the responsibility of doing. That does not bring in enough money to assist in balancing the books in terms of cutting taxes. And what he's saying is that by cutting taxes, these businesses will invest in American labor and American jobs. And I think that ship has just totally sailed. I think that Barack Obama is correct in getting people to get the education to have much more advanced jobs, advanced skilled jobs. That's what America needs to do now, more than just try to go back into the past where you had this unskilled labor or very specific intensive labor. That is no longer going to be. And job securities, also, this is a different era where you don't have job security. You can't just continue one job for the rest of your life and think that is going to be it. No, you have to be flexible. You have to be able to adapt to the market forces and be able to change and adapt. The world is moving away from salaries and wages, and they're moving more into contract labor. And since the world is a global village, there's no way you can shut that down. Businesses and economies are now going to need, where they need expertise, where they need contracted work to cut costs and so on, they're going to utilize it. So Barack Obama did the smart thing by investing education in getting younger people into programming, into advanced skilled labor. Not just advanced skilled labor, but also the brain power, the imagination, the creativity to create business opportunities for oneself. Now you have young children these days running on the internet and creating these opportunities for themselves and breaking in some ridiculous amounts of money. Utilizing the internet and utilizing their novelties or their novel way of approaching things, some of these students even and some of these young people have been able to do things innovatively. And it's an age of innovation and creation, and also understanding market forces to be able to forge on ahead in this global village. It's a global village, and that's just what it is. When I hear Donald Trump, for instance, talk about building the wall, that is an archaic concept that just will fail miserably. Mexico has a complex system of tunnels, some of which go below America's topsoil and go straight into America. You cannot win. And don't talk about Chinese immigration into America. Chinese come in on freights, they come in stowaway ships, they come in so many different ways. You cannot stop immigration into America. There is no way. There's just too much landmass. And though it's bordered by the sea on different ends, people can come through Canada into the United States. People can come through Mexico into the United States. There's nothing going to stop people from coming into the United States. People adapt their routes to go through Europe into the United States. You're not going to stop people from illegally immigrating into the United States and legally immigrating to the United States. It's not going to happen. So what you have to do instead is join some certain fiscal policies and put in place certain tracking policies inside of the United States. That's how you do it, so that you can indirectly tax people who are hiding in the United States but they are working. If you're someone working in some kind of job, you should be taxed for it. Now, do I believe that if you are, a legal immigrant into the United States, you're legally there, that you should be taxed as much as an illegal immigrant? No. I think the illegal people should pay for coming in illegally, and that's where, what happens is employers exploit illegal immigrants, illegal aliens, and the key to dealing with this, so you can actually help businesses and also therefore help people come in legally, is once you locate businesses which have been employing illegal aliens, you need to put taxes on them for not declaring these people and declaring the taxes that they need to pay. And if you're illegally there, you should be taxed higher than somebody who is legally there to support people therefore getting into the United States of America legally. That's how you have to do it. So that people who are illegally there, they should pay for being illegal until the whole process of being legal happens. Oh, here's another thing. I hear Donald Trump talk about we're going to cut all taxes, right? They're not going to cut all taxes. Let me tell you what they'll do. They'll cut taxes for businesses, and usually it's going to be the businesses in the higher 1 percentile. They'll try to cut it across the board, but small businesses will hurt the most. This is why Hillary Clinton's plan is going to work. If you tax, not tremendously, but incrementally, 3% higher taxes for the higher income groups, you get more income to play around with. And on top of that, you do not tax the smaller businesses. Smaller businesses have the greater challenge. They're going uphill trying to become medium and large businesses. So obviously you want to assist the smaller businesses, give them some incentives, but you also want to assist the big businesses so they can get a couple of tax breaks, even though you're going to be taxing them a little bit more. You try to give them ways and means to get tax breaks. And one of the ways to get tax breaks is if you employ someone who has a social security number and also is someone who is either a registered a citizen, or they are a oh god damn it, I can't remember the word right now, resident. So if you're a citizen or a resident of the United States, then we should give you, for investing in Americans, you should give you a little tax break. Not one that which you would annihilate that 1 to 3%, but it enable you to do that. That keeps you from trying to export your expertise overseas. But if you export your expertise overseas, then we don't care about you. You're going to have to pay that 3% tax. Once the product comes in, at some point we're going to catch you downstream and we will tax your tail. So these are the measurements that I think make sense. Otherwise, you're going to have to end up talking about cutting taxes for everybody, but you're not going to be able to do that. You'll cut taxes for the bulk of the revenues that come into the country through the 1% or 5% people who make most of the money, and then you're going to inevitably tax the people through some sort of means. You may not call it a tax, but you'll call it whatever. And you're going to be taxing all of these people, and that's not cool. All right? So, I got to say, governments need monies. And the only way they're going to get their revenues, some of it is from the citizens, some of it is from their exportation, that they do, the transactions worldwide. You're not going to make that revenue if your citizens are not paying taxes. Everybody's got to pay taxes. But I think the brunt of the burden can be done by the higher echelons of them with less complications to them, because let's say you pull 3% from a multi-billion dollar, multi-trillion dollar company. Now, it looks like you're collecting a couple billions there, okay? But that's like a small percentage of the gross profit that the company's making. You'd have to tax like 500 million small businesses to make that happen. You know what I mean? So that's why, and at higher tax rates. So that's why Hillary Clinton's idea of taxing the wealthy makes a ton of sense. The wealthy must learn how to give back. You must give back. If you're not giving back, then you're sucking the country dry. You're not really citizens of the country. You're your own entity. You're a multinational conglomerate, and that makes no damn sense. If you're going to share American soil, then pay your fair share for it. Every country has it. It's called royalties. Well, America needs to have it too, okay? So, I'm just saying, Hillary Clinton is not saying anything that's devoid or makes no sense to me. It makes perfect sense to me that would be what your country needs to do, because they'll need to get revenue, especially the federal government needs to get revenue to do certain things. That's the only way you're going to do it. Now, like I said, I can go into detail about Donald Trump's idea about Iran in the Middle Eastern war that's happening right now in Iraq, trying to destroy ISIS. And they're talking about how the Shiites and Iran, they're running amok of everything. Well, it's not just the Shiites in Iran who are fighting this force that is happening. And yes, I am sure that the Shiites are killing other people, including Christian people, in Iraq, I would not be surprised. However, the biggest threat there is ISIS. ISIS is also killing Christians or having them convert to them. So that's why even if you have the Kurds fighting on one end, you have another group of people fighting on another end, you have the Shiites fighting on another end to try and enclose and destroy ISIS. We also understand that some of these Iranian people are coming in and they are oppressing the Sunnis in Iraq and they are oppressing other people in Iraq. We understand this. All right? You don't remove Saddam Hussein, change the balance of power, and then expect everything to run hunky-dory. It doesn't work like that. The Middle East had a certain power structure. Saddam Hussein brought a certain stability to the Middle East. He was a dictator, like a couple of dictators in the Middle East. But when you remove dictators from governance, you're going to have chaos for a little bit. And this is what's going on. And as the Middle East finds itself and finds its way, these things are going to happen. Now, here's where Donald Trump is wrong. Okay? I just want to talk about it because I think that it only makes sense. He said that Barack Obama founded ISIS and Hillary Clinton, she wasn't even around. That's stupid and that's wrong. What happened was when George Bush created that gap in the Middle East, this is where actually we had a vulnerability. After Iraq fell, then went Egypt, if you guys do remember. The Americans aided the rebel forces in taking out Libya. You don't take out three very strong men, strong leaders in Gaddafi, in the leader of Egypt, and in Saddam Hussein, and don't expect some unstabling forces to come up. All right, even worse than them if you allow them. And that's where the birth of ISIS came from. It was not Barack Obama, because Barack Obama did not do anything when it comes to Egypt and the revolution that happened in Egypt. That revolution happened because of the people of Egypt. Libya, on the other hand, America has a part to play in Libya, and Barack Obama knows that. Iraq had to do with the previous regime, which had to do with George Bush. And even the fight in Syria, which America is against, where Assad has, annihilated some of his people like Saddam Hussein did. If you remove Assad, you leave ISIS there to fester. And so it's very important to understand why you need to leave the dictators in certain places. Now, the United States position on this is they're still supporting the rebels, trying to get them to overthrow Assad. But you have to understand, that's not going to work, okay? Because the people who were recruited to help the rebels, some of these guys were actually terrorists, as we already know. Some of them are CIA ops from the United States of America themselves. And it's sad because these CIA made a turn against America or providing intel to ISIS. So all I'm saying is, without trying to blacklist the CIA, because we know it's not all the CIA, I'm talking about CIA ops, okay? And it happens. But my point anyway is this. At the end of the day, ISIS is being brought under control. If you haven't realized, you haven't heard ISIS in the news for a while. And that's because they're killing the shit out of ISIS right now in Iraq. And not only that, but they're also locking up security in different points of the world so that ISIS cannot just find simple targets and lone wolves can just take advantage of situations. But even so, what I'm saying is this, that if you look at the causality and the accusations that Donald Trump is giving, which are very outlandish to start with, and things that the far right believe, but the conservative right don't, you will realize how much nonsense this guy has in his proposals. Donald Trump has no idea how to manage the Middle East crisis. He has not. He's talking rhetoric about how, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are clueless about how to deal with Middle East negotiations, even though they've been very successful in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is coming back on its feet, which was actually the real center of the cause for the Twin Towers collapse, even though we know it was a controlled demolition as well, and the evidence for that is outstanding. But the point anyway is this, that at the end of the day, Barack Obama went after the right guy, which was Osama bin Laden, took him out. And right now, the Taliban is still up in Afghanistan, don't get me wrong, but there's still unstabilizing elements, but they have a certain degree now of stability and a certain degree of calm to them. I'm not saying it's all over, though. So I'm just saying that when it comes to international relations, Donald Trump is not the guy for that job, okay? He's not the guy for running America because he's just unstable. He's just too unstable. And his mishmash of ideas, even though people are trying to credit him with, oh, he's got good points about the economy and stuff. No, what you really mean to say is he's improved drastically about his policies on the economy and so on than he used to have. You can say that. He doesn't have any good policy on the American economy, and anybody saying that, they're full of shit, okay? He's improved in terms of how he spews forth his rhetoric, all right? He doesn't sound like some kind of coarse, he's trying to be more refined in how he brings across it, but his rhetoric is the same. You can poke holes in his rhetoric very easily, all right? Hillary Clinton's rhetoric, again, is very, very comprehensive, all right? She is more realistic. If you look at what she's talking about with student loans, students who can afford to pay loans can pay at reduced rates, but you're not going to just give them loan for, go through college without paying anything. No, that's for the people who really can't afford that, and therefore they go through college for free. Bernie Sanders was saying everybody should have free education. Well, in my country, it's not sustainable because right now, all the incentives for someone to go through university for free are dried up. Okay, we had things like GATE and HELP and so on, and they dried up because the economy cannot sustain those things. They're not sustainable things. Canada is able to do free healthcare, and to be honest with you, that would be awesome for the United States of America, but it's not. Its system is not configured that way, so you can't get free healthcare. But what you can get, all right, is you can get coverage for health care now. Now, Obamacare is not the best. It was a concession that was made, so it's not the best program. In fact, as Obama and Hillary Clinton will admit, it is actually kind of costly to the American economy right now. But they can tweak it with a good majority, and they can come to get it what it originally wanted it to be. So, all I'm saying is that Hillary Clinton is definitely the mastermind behind what Barack Obama did and what Bill Clinton did. And clearly, she is the person for the job to push America even further forward and really give us that international stability that Americans need. Not just Americans, but the world needs. And the world, I'm pretty sure the world views Hillary Clinton differently to how Americans view Hillary Clinton, because Americans can't seem to separate fact from fiction. They listen to Donald Trump trying to bash Hillary Clinton, but the truth be told, Hillary Clinton has done a hell of a lot for Americans, okay? So I'm definitely promoting Hillary Clinton right now in my video, and I'm talking about Wonder Woman as well. I think she's like a Wonder Woman, in my own opinion. And I'm an international person looking in at the American elections. I'm an outsider, If Putin can do it, so can I. So, I just want to say that I think that the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is that there won't be enough Republicans in the House or the Senate. I think that's a bad thing when you just have one party completely dominating proceedings. It's always good to have a balance. That doesn't seem to be the case here. This looks like it's going to be a runaway train in which the Democrats are going to win both the House and Congress. And that's not necessarily orders well for democracy, even though it will help a lot of people and a lot of things, that really need to be carried out in United States politics to be carried through. But the downside to that is there's also some things which are negative, which are more along moral lines, which will be affected. But we'll just have to live with that, unfortunately. All right, you guys, have a great one.